Magma is responsible for a creation of numerous volcanic features on the Earth's surface. However, some of these features were created below the surface and have been exposed over millions of years of constant denudation of the overlying rock that had contained the magma. Magma is the molten rock located below the Earth's surface. When magma is forced upward into the crust, a large mass is contained deep below the surface. Some magma cuts through the bedding plane or rock layers, while some magma forces its way between two layers of rocks. The magma cools and solidifies over many years after volcanic activity has ended, creating features such as batholith, dike, laccolith, sill, and volcanic plug. Due to constant weathering and erosion of the overlying rocks over many years, the intrusive volcanic features are exposed on the surface. Intrusive volcanic features are formed below the Earth's crust as magma is trapped by the overlying rocks where it cools and solidifies before being exposed to the surface by years of continuous weathering and erosion of the overlying rock. Here we have the features shown by the diagram: batholith, sill, laccolith, dike, and volcanic plug. A large reservoir of magma is contained by layers of rocks below the surface. This mass of magma cools and solidifies over many years, forming a batholith. The overlying rocks are constantly broken down and removed over many years to expose the batholith on the surface. The word batholith comes from the Greek word bathos, which means deep, and lithos, which means rock, which literally translates to deep rock. Here we can see where the large collection of magma is being forced into the overlying rock. The magma cools and solidifies, forming a batholith deep below the surface. The overlying rock is eventually broken down and removed to expose the batholith on the surface. One prime example is the Canadian Shield in Canada. And in the Caribbean, we have the Casibari rock structure in Aruba. Occasionally, magma is forced upwards through the rock strata or layers, sometimes forming a wall of magma. This is called a dike. In time, the magma cools and solidifies. As the overlying rock is broken down and removed, the dike is exposed on the Earth's surface. In the Caribbean, we have dikes in Guyana, as well as the island of St. Lucia. A very prominent dike in Africa is known as the Dike of Rhodesia, now known as the Great Dike of Zimbabwe. Here's an aerial photograph of the Great Dike of Zimbabwe. Here are other photographs of dikes. As magma cuts upwards through the bedding plane, it is trapped by a layer of rock close to the Earth's surface, forming a smaller dome-shaped collection of magma, which will eventually cool and solidify. This is called a laccolith, from the Greek word lakos meaning collection or reservoir, and lith meaning rock. The overlying rocks are removed, exposing a low-lying dome-shaped structure. During magma intrusion, magma is injected between the layers of rocks. It cools and solidifies. Here it forms a structure known as a sill. Here we have a demonstration of how a sill is formed. As you can see, magma is forced between two layers of rock as it rises. This two-layer of rock is what we call the bedding plane, and the magma between the layers of rock or the bedding plane is what we call the sill. Once again, we have a diagram showing you where sills are located. As you can see, sills are located between two layers of rocks. Here is a photograph of a sill. As you can see, we have the bedding plane on both sides of the sill. A good example in the Caribbean is Mount Roraima in Guyana, which itself is a sill. Viscous or acidic lava moves up in the volcano's vent, where it clogs the vent. After volcanic action ceases, it cools and solidifies. Over time, the surrounding cone is stripped away or is eroded, leaving a spine or pinnacle isolated. This is what we call a volcanic plug. A good example of a volcanic plug in the Caribbean are the pitons, Gros and Petit Piton in St. Lucia. In the United States, we have the Devil's Tower. And on the Canary Islands, we have Rock de Agando. What is A? Come on, think fast, think fast. What is B? Okay, let's turn the ante up. What is C? Come on, think fast, try to remember. What is D? Easiest one. Let's try E. What's going to be formed at E? Alright, there it is. So we have come to the end of our lesson. I hope you learned something new today and you enjoyed the lesson. Thank you very much for joining me, and continue to love geography with all thy might. Take care, everyone.